welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Jade Shinu and I help people reclaim back their power physically, mentally and spiritually. Now today I'm going to be talking about 4 common ways that a witch can curse you. It's important to know common methods of hexing and cursing in order to protect yourself and your loved ones, etc. So it's very important that normal people are aware of these occultic things so they don't fall prey to people who unfortunately may try to hurt them. Especially people on the spiritual path or witchcraft path also themselves. It's very important to know these things in order to protect yourself. So there are many ways to curse and hex someone. There are so many different paths, so many different types of witchcraft. So there's all different types of methods, but I'm not going so much into that today. I'm going more into things that you should protect yourself and things that you should be aware of that a witch can steal from you or give you in order to inflict a curse upon you, if that makes sense. So not so much actual curses. I don't teach how to curse or hex people. This is all about protecting yourself. So the number one thing that's extremely potent and probably the most powerful way that a witch or whatever can really put a strong curse on you is if they get their hands on some sort of DNA. So some of your DNA basically. So this can mean hair. So hair is very common. So if a witch tries to get your hair, so protect your brushes mainly. For women, even tampons, used tampons, as disgusting as that may sound, because blood is the most potent thing, especially menstrual blood, to use in magic. And be aware, like magic, again, it's neutral, it can be used for good and it can be certainly used for evil. But having someone's DNA is the most powerful way to inflict some sort of spell on them. So hair, blood, nails, teeth, if it's a child, like, and they lose their teeth. So anything like that for men, you know, their fluids, semen, etc. Is probably the equivalent of a woman's menstrual blood. So protect your used condoms, as gross as that may sound. So if you suspect that you are living with someone who's into black magic, or you know that they're into black magic and you know they're a bit strange with you, etc., like, keep these things very private and hidden. You know, don't just leave them in the bin in the bathroom, for example. Don't leave loads of hair in your brush, like regularly clean it. You know, just little things like that, because this is what a witch will hunt for if they want to, you know, mess you up. Also clothes and even used knickers, again, as gross as that may seem, it will have your essence, it will have your DNA on it. So if they're not able to get your DNA, because they can't, you know, get that obviously, because they have to be very close, intimate with you, they'll try to get something closely related to that. So this can be like an item of clothes, jewelry, something that will have an imprint of your energy on it strongly. So be very protective of these things. If your partner is into magic, or, you know, a family member or whatever, or friends, you know, if they come round to your house, and, you know, be very careful of these things. Now, the second thing that a witch or warlock can easily inflict a hex or curse upon you is actually feeding you something. So again, this is a very common way, because basically this is a way for them to get really negative energy inside you. So what they will do what's called kitchen magic, but for negative reasons. So they can easily make some sort of cursed cupcakes, a cake, cookies, you know, that sort of thing. And without you knowing, they might have put something in it, or hexed it, or put really negative energy into it. Again, I won't go into details of how they do it, but whatever they're doing is, you know, they'll do something to it. They'll put a spell upon the food, and then they'll feed it to you. So you have to be very cautious of what you eat from people. This actually happened to me and my family many years ago. And I'll do a story on it in the future, but basically one of our cousins is very much into black magic, and she was a witch. And basically when we were kids, we'd always visit Portugal every year because that's where she lived. She's always unannounced to come round my nan's house, and every single time she'll bring food for us to eat and be very pushy about eating it. Because even if someone isn't a witch or a warlock and they cook you food but they have very negative energy, don't eat it, because their essence is going into that food. Like, it is really powerful. And this is why when someone makes food who is a very high vibration, very happy, or they love you, you know, they put a lot of love into their food, this food will be really healing, very beneficial to you. So even with like little small things like that, like don't eat food from a depressed person, as funny as that sounds, because a part of their energy will be in it. But again, this will be very mild, unless they are really, really, really negative, like unless that person has like a dark entity with them, or, you know, some really dark energy. If you're eating their food, then that will bring you down as well, and it might even make you physically sick. Again, this has happened to me in the past, so you need to be very cautious. And if you do suspect someone of occultic magic, or, you know, black magic, etc., and they're being pushy and they're trying to feed you something, just, you know, stand your ground, have healthy boundaries and say no. The third way is basically your name. So if someone isn't able to physically get your hair, DNA, or feed you something, protect your name and your date of birth. Do try to be as private as possible. Do not have your full name on your Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Do not have your date of birth publicly known, because this is what a witch will look for to hex you anyway, if they can't get, you know, a physical thing from you. So another link that they can do is obviously using your full name and your date of birth. So be very careful. Do not make your names public. You know, always use a nickname. You know, hide your date of birth as much as possible. And be very private as well. And also with pictures, because they can also use pictures. They can easily print off a picture, you know, off your social media. So obviously this is quite difficult to avoid in this day and age, as pretty much everyone has social media now. So they can easily use a photo of you and do hexing, and, you know, put it on their little voodoo doll and then stab it. Like, you know, people do this crazy shit, and it's far more common than what people actually believe. So it's really important to protect yourself. If you want to know more, watch my other video that I done on 7 signs that you are cursed. I also done another video on how to break generational curses, etc. But one of the most simple yet powerful mantras that I regularly do to ward off evil eye and mild hexes and, you know, negative energy sent to me, because obviously you're way more at risk when you're massively putting yourself out there, like if you're a YouTuber like myself, or, you know, you're very much known on social media and you have, you know, more than usual, you know, followers and attention and that sort of thing. You'll get a lot of people giving you the evil eye and, you know, sending you jealousy, you know, negative energy. So a very good mantra and chant that you can do is simply to say that I send back all negative energy, hexes, black magic, and the evil eye back to the sender, so mote it be. So I say this regularly, probably at least once a week, and say it 3 times and really feel it, you know, be strong in how you say it, and be very focused, be very present when you're saying it as well. And constantly just, you know, visualize that any negative energy that's coming on you, it bounces back to that person. So this is very effective with more sort of mild curses and hexes. With more severe ones, obviously it won't be as simple as that, depending on the person and you know, what's been done, because again, like I said, there are so many different forms of hexes and black magic. If they've done a very severe form of black magic, which involves some sort of animal sacrifice, you know, they've sacrificed an animal, used its blood, and then in order to curse you, it's way more severe and way more difficult. So you probably need some sort of professional help and a lot of healing, a lot of cleansing, and really, you know, use everything you can to like get back that power, get back your energy basically. Again, I'll do more content about this as it's such a deep topic and not many people speak of it enough, because, you know, if you have someone doing some sort of really severe black magic on you, it can be life destroying. I've experienced this myself. I never knew how severe it could be, even if you are on a high vibration as well. So you need to be careful. Of course, being on a high vibration will massively help with protecting you against most hexes and most curses. But if someone has full out done like a really severe thing, especially a woman, because high priestesses and females who are still menstruating are really powerful. So if they know what they've done, or worse, they've used a whole coven of women to inflict black magic on you, it's very difficult to break. It can be broken, you can heal, but it will, you know, it'll be tough. So the last thing that they can do, that they can use a way to give you a curse, is basically through an object, through a gift. So again, be careful what gifts you take. So if someone who you intuitively know, you have a bad gut feeling about, who doesn't feel right, who's, you know, got dark energy, who seems like a narcissist, that sort of thing, if they keep giving you these like weird little gifts, especially in the form of crystals, rocks, anything that's conductive, that can like absorb energy, and they're gifting it to you, or like jewelry that you're going to wear, so something that you will wear a lot, throw it in the bin. Because or even an ornament or something that you're going to put in your home, in your bedroom, because what witches can do is, of course, similar to food, they can do a ritual, black magic ritual, and put all this cursed negative energy onto this thing, so like a witch's bottle or statue or whatever, like a witch's black magic like totem, and then they hand it to you, they gift it to you. And this is a way of consent, because now they've got that thing, that curse in your home. You need to be really careful what sort of gifts you accept from people. And a similar thing happened to me when I was only about 15, I think. I was actually applying to art college in Brighton, and at the time I met this girl who was, I think she was a lesbian, so she was very pushy, very like flirtatious with me, but she had the most awful energy that I've ever met. She was very dark, you know, complete goth. You know, not saying that all goths are evil, so, but she certainly was. Rotten teeth, like real dark energy. She was into drugs, you know, I could just sense that there was something really negative about her, and I would not be surprised if she was a witch. She felt like she was a black magic witch. And basically she was very pushy, and she gave me a very weird gift, and we'd literally just met, and she gave me a black stone. So be very cautious of black things, because black is the most absorbent color. So if someone's giving you a black crystal or black rock, or, you know, something like that, or black lava stone, this is what she gave me. A very random thing, and I was just like, oh, thank you. And of course, luckily I didn't bring that into my home, but I left it in my school. But since I took it with me, I felt very sick. I felt like I had bad luck, like, you know, things just going wrong for a good few weeks. And she kept harassing me. She turned into a stalker, and she kept calling me because I stupidly gave her my number. I was a very, you know, people-pleasing 15-year-old, and asking me to go to drug parties, you know, really dark things. So she was really trying to seduce me into like a dark energy, into a dark place. But I stood my ground, and I said no, and I blocked her number. But there certainly had a lot of bad luck happening after that, especially once I rejected her. But luckily I threw the stone away, and then it was all right. So you got to be very, very careful what gifts you accept from people. Do not take them into your house. This can even happen with buying certain things, like I mentioned in my other video, 3 weird things that can lower your frequency. If you buy a cursed object by accident, so you've got to be really careful if you go into like vintage shops, because certain things can absorb a lot of bad energy. I mean, you've heard about it all the time, like cursed dolls, cursed pianos, like haunted objects. So be careful, because it can be the same thing with ritual objects. So if something has been used in a ritual that wasn't even towards you, but it was just used as a ritual object, or, you know, a bit of jewelry that someone wore that done loads of black magic, like be very careful. There was a thing about like this ring, like a ring being cursed because it was on the woman. It belongs to a witch who done lots of hexing and black magic, you know, because it will have that energy imprint on it. All that energy will be in that thing, in that object. So be very careful with what you bring into your house. Always try to best avoid vintage things just in case, unless you want to, you know, sage them a lot, but be very careful. And you'll know when something has got really bad energy because whoever bought it will be instantly seduced by it, because the dark entity will make them obsessed and very attached to that thing. So be very careful, and just, you know, you've got to be cruel to be kind, and just get that thing away from them, no matter what it was and how much money you spent on it, because it can certainly destroy your life or cause a lot of carnage. So be very careful of that. Don't accept gifts from dodgy people. And yes, watch my other videos on how to keep your frequency high, because that is always the #1 best defense in trying to ward off most curses and hexes and stuff, because most of the time if you are on a genuinely high vibration, they will just bounce off you, unless it's a very, very severe thing. But realistically, that is pretty rare that someone will go that far. It will normally be generational curses as well that will affect people quite heavily. Again, this is something I've had to deal with, like I said in my other video, so watch that if you feel like you also may be struggling with these things. But do the mantra all the time, keep your vibration high, and be very careful what you know, be very private with yourself, be very protective of your hair and things and belongings, what you eat, what you consume, what you bring into your home. So a lot of it is just common sense, basic common sense. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to check out my services that I provide, they're all linked in the description box down below, or visit thegoddesscoven.net. I provide oracle card reading, so one-to-one guidance. I also have a free third eye ebook and a chakra cleanse ebook, so check that out. It's a really good way to cleanse yourself so you don't become a frequency match to dark energy, because that's really what it's all about. Lots and lots of love to you, and light. Ahimsa.